Welcome. Let's talk about some with blocks. Let's say that we have a program that wants to check a couple of things before it does something. If policy.authorized, this is for a create operation, I'm authorizing the account. Then if operation can do account, then operation.do account. That's easy. Now, if you can't do it, then we want to return with an error, cannot operate for account. If you're not authorized, then we want to return with an error, you are not authorized. That's pretty straightforward, except it's not, because now we're like a 2-level if-else block. And if we keep adding conditions, it's going to get pretty hairy pretty quickly. So Elixir introduced a fun way to deal with this sort of situations. Lots of languages have ways to deal with this, but Elixir has something that I think is just beautiful. It's the with block. Here's what with says. If this and this and this work out like we expect, then do the GUI center here. Otherwise, do something else. Now, these leftward facing arrows are match operations, basically. So this is saying if whatever is stored in actual is the string expected, we're good, keep going. If whatever is stored in actual 2 is expected 2, keep going. Actual 3 is the string expected 3, keep going. You're done, do thing 1. If any of these don't match, you drop to the else block, and then, well, let's get to that in a second. So here we go. We are saying policy.authorized. Again, that's the first step, and we expect that to be true. So if that's true, keep going. Operation can do. If that's true, keep going. Operation do. Great. Now down here in the else block, you'll note that we have 2 steps. One of them is for false, which, like, if either of these are false, this is basically like a case statement. We're taking whatever didn't go right and throwing it into a case statement. If it's false, then we say error. Darn, I don't actually know what kind of error. This one is just kind of a catch-all. If one of these returns something that's not false or true, then I want to be able to catch that and relate that error as well. It's nice to have a catch-all because then you don't get an exception, you get an error message. But we got this darn I don't know what kind of error. So I got a little trick to know which of these things returned false. I'm going to take this and wrap it in a tuple. So if auth true is what we get from auth this thing, okay, yeah, so if this thing returns true, then this whole statement here will return auth true, good. So down here, I'm going to put in the case statement area, in the else area, I'm going to say if it comes back auth false, then we know you are not authorized. That's pretty cool. Anything else? If I get any other false, I don't know what kind of error. If I get just something, I'll just return that something. We can do the same thing here. Can do, true, matches against, can do, and whatever the output of this operation is. Now we drop it down here. If we get can do false, oh, a little typo there. We get can do false, then we get this particular error. Anything else drops to that. We can make this a little bit better. If auth false, then this error, and then just anything else we'll say cannot operate. That makes sense. If can do returns false, or if one of these things blows up and gives me something other than true false, this is our catch-all. We don't even care what's in there. We're just going to say cannot operate. So if we compare these two things, here I've got a nested if-else clause that's like, as this area of code grows, it's going to get more and more difficult to read. This thing, once you get used to, oh, it's a with, so I've got a series of statements that all have to be true, and then a GUI center, and then if anything in there breaks, I can go down to this case statement. Once you get used to reading that, it's glorious, because you can fit so much error checking and conditions in a small amount of space. So for instance, like this is expanded, this is doing a whole bunch of stuff. Let's see what it does. We've got our auth true, we've got our can do true, and then we just say, oh, I want to get pal. Let's say get pal is going to return either okay pal or error something. That's fine. This match here is actually capturing that pal, just like any other match operation. Get visit pal is going to capture that visit. Now I can do my operation, and then I can call other operation with pal and visit. And I know that they're okay because like they were checked on the way in. If either of them mess up, then I would drop down to the other error clause, and it would give me an error message. So this match can also capture, and it can be, it can do pretty much anything regular matches can do. You can use guards in there. You can say, okay, pal, when is list pal, or something like that. Very powerful stuff here. Now let's drop down here. These don't have to just return one thing. If we get error, some error, I can call logger, I can call a whole bunch of stuff. There's any number of statements I can put in each of these clauses. Of course, if they get too long, I might want to call out to something else. And if the whole with block starts getting wobbly, then maybe I'll want to pull it out into something else, or refactor. But this is a perfectly valid amount of with, and it's a lot of fun to use. So that's with. It's basically a simple way to, here, let's go there. Here's with, it's a simple way to avoid if, else, else. It's nice. Thanks for joining.